Yo, what is going on? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is doing good. Last week of the fantasy football season, and we got to get these dubs for all y'all that are, dying to make it into the postseason. The rest of us that are already in, we can relax a little bit this week, as it is a big one. Starts it week number 14. Y'all know why we're here. It is the big week, man. I'm telling y'all, it is going to be a lot of headaches because we do got a bye week Armageddon. The Ravens, Broncos, Texans, Colts, Patriots, and the Commies, the Commanders, they are all on the bye week. So we're definitely going to have to find a lot of players to hit on the boom games for us this week. No question about that, but let's see. You guys know the drill. It is rapid fire. Every team, every player. Let's start with those Arizona Cardinals taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Kyler Murray and these Cards coming off a devastating loss versus those Minnesota Vikings last week, last second field goal, and they stayed in it. But the weird aspect of it is they have not been running the football very well as of late. Kyler Murray still did very well for us last week. 7 boom games, 200 points plus. You got to love what's going on with Kyler playing on with the Seahawks. Huge divisional contest. I'm still saying low-level risk for Kyler Murray. Fire him up at home. This team does play a lot better at home, so I fully expect them to play lights out in a huge divisional showdown. James Conner still keeping them on the mid-level risk. A couple bust games in a row. Don't like it whatsoever, but I still do believe that they will have to get back to the ground game at some capacity, leaving at least good volume upside for a James Conner. Still on the mid-level as Seattle has played decent defense overall. Benson not touching it where Marvin Harrison Jr. I told y'all last week, man, he is too good. Kyler Murray just continues to just force feed a Trey McBride with 20 targets. This man over the last 3 weeks has got like 30 targets or 30 receptions, whatever the hell it was. He just continues to go to Trey McBride, even though Marvin Harrison, that one catch he made, absolutely spectacular in the end zone. Good upside once again for Marvin Harrison. Absolutely fire him up everywhere he got him. Michael Wilson, low floor on the mid-level. Don't hate the play this week in deeper leagues as he does get opportunities, but you might only get the 4 or 5 targets per game, but at least he makes the most usually of those targets. Dortch, nope, and then Trey McBride, low-level risk, 8 boom games, almost 130 points. This guy's a freaking animal, giving us such a safe floor, even though he's not scoring touchdowns. Could you imagine if this man was scoring touchdowns? We'd have 20-plus points from this guy every single week. Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Kirko chains, no chains, giving away chains. I mean, whatever you want to call it. This guy, man, throwing interceptions, looking like he is basically cooked at this point. But you know he goes through these ebbs and flows all the time, man. Has some pretty big stinkers, and then he comes and bounces back. If it was any week for a Kirk Cousins to play good football, it is this week versus his old team. It's a revenge game on the mid-level risk for Kirko Chains. It's a cautionary tale, man. I really don't promote the play, but I mean anybody playing a revenge game, you know this means a lot to Kirk Cousins to play better and to lead this Falcons team to victory. So it is a massive game, massive upside in Minnesota, mind you, as well. So he's played here before, so I do fully expect the best of a Kirk Cousins this week on a revenge game, mid-level risk. Bijan, fire him up 20 points plus last week. Again, beautiful contest he had. Drake London, on the other hand, he was mid-level last week. Still performed admirably. I got him on a low-level risk. Without a Stephon Gilmore, this defense, it has been gashable through the air, even with a Gilmore as well. Drake London should see a heaping of target share, potentially in the end zone. The way they utilize this man all over the line, you absolutely love a good day from a Drake London. Darnell Mooney, 2 bad games in a row. We got to bounce back in a big way on a mid-level risk. I do foresee a lot of passes coming to this man's direction. For whatever reason, these Falcons continue to move away from what was successful early on in the season, and I don't understand why. And at this point, these last couple contests, we see a big problem. Maybe it's time they go back, spread the football around to whoever's open. Kyle Pitts didn't even see a catch last week. I mean, Kirko threw it over his head a couple times as well. So I do like Darnell Mooney on the bounce back mid-level in my flex. Ray McLeod, PPR floor. He did have a boom game last week, but it's not safe enough for me to trust. And Kyle Pitts, target floor in the red, man. I can't trust it this week. This is too big of a week to absolutely put our eggs in Kyle Pitts' basket. I do not like it. Hopefully you got better options at the tight end spot. I got a target floor in the red for a Kyle Pitts. Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Even the snow can't stop Josh Allen. Are you kidding me, man? Passing TDs, receiving TDs, rushing TDs. What can this man not do? He is the Superman. Low-level risk on the speedy track inside the Dome in LA. They should absolutely feast on this good field. Low-level risk for Josh Allen as his MVP season continues to push, and these Bills look very good. James Cook, good upside in the green as well. They will continue to run with a James Cook. However, I will start to caveat it starting this week throughout the playoffs in fantasy football, that Ray Davis is going to have I want to say a good sizable role moving forward. Why, you may ask, to keep some of these guys healthy and fresh for the playoffs while not losing any traction. I think James still will get his typical workload, but Ray Davis should see a lot of, volume coming his way with a lot of spells to a James Cook. So don't foresee, unless Cook takes one of the house again, I could see his, volume taper off just a little bit, his production taper off just a little bit as Ray Davis gets a lot more touches. Mid-level risk for Ray Davis. Amari Cooper, low floor on the mid-level. He's just not enough, man, to go around as the Bills just continue with Josh Allen to spread the football to whoever's open. So Amari Cooper definitely doesn't have that top-end ceiling. It is more of a low floor caution play for me. Curtis Samuel not touching it. We're Khalil Shakir. TD upside for me this week. This man has not been in the end zone for quite some time. It is overdue, and I do think they will continue to force feed a Khalil Shakir this week as well. Hopefully get him into the end zone. I do foresee it. I mean, it's way overdue for this man. He needs to get some flowers and get into the end zone. 5 boom games. Only 100 points, man. This guy should be up in the 150s for as much production that he does have. Keon Coleman, injury risk. He's still dealing with that wrist injury. He may not suit up. As of today, they have not ruled him out. I will update you in the comments when and if he does sit. Likewise, with a Dalton Kincaid on the questionable, I got Dawson Knox listed here on a low floor. So I'm telling y'all right now, very tough to trust a Dawson Knox, Keon Coleman this week as well, even though Knox should get you, if he does play, at least 5 to 6 points. Carolina Panthers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Bryce Young coming off his best game fantasy-wise and as a pro, basically. Last week looked very good. This week he may come back down to earth. High-level risk taking on the Philadelphia Eagles defense that has played exceptionally well as of late. The young corners doing everything they need. I mean, they're coming after the quarterback with a Carter and company. I love it. Bryce Young should come back down to earth just a little bit. If Bryce Young does play good in this contest, everybody's got to open their eyes and say, yeah, man, he's turned a corner and he's looking for real. Chuba Hubbard on the mid-level risk. We saw what happened last week, and it is a problem because, I mean, we got a guy like Jonathan Brooks now. So you're going to see some touches, even though they did pay a Hubbard, $30 million on the contract extension. It's a mid-level. He still is the lead back in this backfield as of today. But Jonathan Brooks, they want to see what they got in this kid. And, I mean, taking on an Eagles defense in front seven that is extremely stout, I would definitely caution the play of Chuba and a Brooks this week. Xavier Legette on the PBR floor mid-level, where Adam Thielen, garbage time mid-level risk. I mean, again, the way this defense has been playing, you might be biting your fingernails off to get any kind of productivity from an Adam Thielen. So if he does make noise happen, you got to believe it's going to be somewhere in the fourth quarter when the game is, out of hand to some degree. I don't foresee these Panthers really taking it to these Eagles unless the Eagles overlook them like a lot of teams have the last couple weeks. Adam Thielen flex play, garbage time appeal only for me this week. David Moore, no, and a Jatavion Sanders on the questionable on the neck injury. We'll see if he does suit up. If not, Tommy Tremble saw 10 points last week, which was interesting, mind you, in that sense as well. Chicago Bears taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Caleb Williams, DJ Moore dealing with a questionable injury. Roshan's out of this contest. Swift is dealing with a quad. We got injuries here for the Chicago Bears versus injury-riddled San Francisco 49ers club. Caleb's doing okay, man. Okay, we see the offensive system change. He looked pretty bad in that first half last week, and now he turned the corner in that second half. Still got you over 20 points. So that is good news. Taking on a Niners team who is coming off a big loss. This is still a must-win category as the 49ers still alive in this division in the NFC West that is very much clumped together with all these teams. Only 2 games back behind the leader. so their season is definitely not over. But Caleb Williams, mid-level risk, do not dislike the play. I'm just not overly promoting it. I think that you can play him this week in a stream if your quarterback is on the bye. DeAndre Swift, injury risk on the mid-level. If he does play, I do like it. They should be able to at least move the football through the air and check down appeal. Because DJ Moore may not suit up in this contest, I still got a green on him if he does play. I think there's going to be ample amounts of upside for a DJ Moore if he does suit up. If he does sit, we upgrade everybody. Rome Odunze to mid-level, and I'd put Keenan Allen to a low-level risk. Keenan's been doing so good as of late, scoring TDs, making things happen, which has been uplifting a Caleb Williams. It makes you wonder, where the hell has this been for Keenan Allen all season long? A lot of us did drop Keenan Allen on the waiver wire as the season was going to a crapshoot, but Keenan definitely would rise. Rome Odunze would rise without a DJ Moore. If it's not, I'd still go DJ, Keenan, then a Rome in this offense. Cole Kmet, low upside, not liking the play this week. I still think he's going to have another bust game. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Bengals season all but over at this point. I mean, they need a miracle to make it into the postseason. Joey B and company, they've been playing lights out football. You see what they say, they asked Jamar Chase, you guys got to put up 30-plus points a week to win? He says it looks like that because the defense cannot stop a cold, and these Cowboys, even with a Cooper Rush, should be able to at least move the football some regularity. We're not going to see it like last week with those Steelers, but Joey B is going to continue his feared pace at this point. They're just going to go balls to the wall and see where they can go with this offense. Fire up Joey B. Everywhere got him. Chase Brown, low-level risk, another good quality contest last week. I did fade him a little bit last week, so for me, that's a big miss on my part, but Chase Brown with the volume upside, absolutely key. He's a big fixture in this offense, takes a lot of pressure off a Joey B, and this Cowboys defense has seen better days, so I do like Chase Brown as well. Likewise, with a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, fire these gentlemen up everywhere you got him. T's got 5 boom games in the last 5 games played, and Jamar Chase still is the wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy football. 232 points, baby. You guys fire these guys up. They are killing it, doing the business, and will likely be league winners. Jamar Chase should be a league winner this year, absolutely. Andre Yosevach, low floor, likewise with a Mike Gesicki, low floor in the red. I think there are much better options than these two gentlemen as we enter this week. Cleveland Brownies taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. What a game on Monday night by Cleveland. Jameis Winston, love this man. He's so funny. He's like, I pray to God that he just lets me stop throwing pick sixes. This is the roller coaster ride I've been saying, since he took over as a starting quarterback. Mid-level risk versus Steelers defense that is still pretty good, very good, I should say. And TJ Watt and company, they will come after a Jameis with a bum rush. That's why I got him on the mid-level. We could see a lot more turnovers, a lot more sacks coming to Jameis this week. But Nick Chubb, he is kind of back. I got volume upside on the mid-level for him this week. 2 boom games. Had a much better showing last week. He's seemingly coming along better than I had expected. Didn't foresee him to be this good. So far this, coming back from the ACL injury, I like them this week as well. They should be able to move the football on the ground at some level of regularity. Potential red zone appeal does exist for a Chubb again this week. Low floor for a Jerome Ford, not touching it. Jerry Jeudy, a lot of people going to say it's another one for him. I'm going to pull it back just a little bit, man. 36 points for a Jerry on Monday Night Football revenge game versus the Broncos. Temper those expectations this week. It should fall back down to earth. Mid-level risk, still like the play of Jeudy in the, wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2 flex appeal this week. But I do got mid-level as the Steelers should try to take him away. Elijah Moore, PBR upside, multi-flex leagues, I'm okay with it. Outside of that, wide receiver 3 potential is here, but against Pittsburgh, I would probably go in another direction. Michael Woods taking over the 3rd wide receiver role. Another OU player. They got a lot of OU players in the league right now. And then David Njoku, TD upside once again on the mid-level risk. There's got to be options for them to throw to, and David Njoku has been pretty steady overall. Dallas Cowboys taking on those Bengals on Monday Night Football, like I'm saying. Going to be a good, interesting show. Cooper Rush, and I never thought I'd say this, he is somewhat fantasy relevant. If you are desperate for a quarterback, he gets anywhere from 12 to 17 at this point. So, again, you can do so much worse in so many places, Cooper Rush. I'm not necessarily trusting it. You just got to, again, I'm telling you the truth and what I see. Cooper Rush is at least supporting this business, but I will caveat that if CeeDee Lamb does sit in this contest, I'm moving away from Cooper Rush. Only if you're desperate do you play Rush at this point, mid-level risk. risk, he should get you anywhere about the 12 to 15 this week versus the Bengals defense that is playing pretty bad football. Rico Duato, low-level risk, fire him up. He had his best game as a pro last week. That should continue versus the Bengals defense, where Zeke we have not been playing for a lifetime already. And CeeDee Lamb, injury risk on the green. If he does play, we can fire him up because he's making plays all by himself. If he doesn't, you're going to have to look in another direction. There is potential. He does play with that shoulder issue that he's going to be something of a decoy as well. So definitely keep tabs on him. I will keep you updated in the comments, no question. Brandon Cooks comes back to life, mid-level risk. So if Lamb goes down, absolutely uplift a Cooks. Should see a lot of Lamb's targets, where Jalen Tolbert continues his low floor on the high-level risk. And Jake Ferguson comes back from his concussion. Should be good to go. Haven't seen otherwise as of yet. He's got good upside in the green for me. Cooper Rush was feeding a Luke Schoonmaker, so I do see a Ferguson being in this role as well. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Tennessee Titans. No more Trevor Lawrence. He's sent to injured reserve, not because of the concussion, but due to that AC joint. They are going to fix it up, clean it up. So we got Mac Money Jones. Mac Money Jones, he is, okay, what I say to you guys, he's not a terrible quarterback. He's up and down. He needs a home. He needs a place that can call it home. He got 20 points last week, okay? And this is what I'm saying. With a guy like Parker Washington getting 20 plus as well, Brian Thomas Jr. They got some pieces here, and Mac Jones has played with worse, so he can absolutely, he's no stranger in supporting a lesser cast of characters. Don't dislike the play versus the Titans. Don't love the play. It is mid-level for me. There is potential around 17 points. He could have a decent day, but they got to run this football, man. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, low upside, low floor, respectively, both on the mid-level. Not really digging the plays this week versus the Titans, who are relatively good versus the run. Had some sidesteps last week versus Brian Robinson Jr., but I mean, Etienne and Bigsby, they definitely have tapered off as teams are not scared of the run that much at all. Parker Washington, like I said, coming off a massive 20-point show. This is still a risk, but there is at least some reward at this point. If you are struggling for bye weeks and have wide receiver issues, Parker's a decent play this week. Again, high-end upside. I don't foresee 20 coming this week again, but at least we can see him making waves and improving his game. Don't dislike it in the flex. Tim Jones, no thank you. We're Brian Thomas Jr., low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. He looks good. He looks healthy. And I mean, Mac Jones can support, quality wide receivers like we have seen in the past at Alabama. And Evan Ingram on the PPR upside, mid-level risk. I think Mac Jones going to go to his wide receivers more than he will the tight end this week. Kansas City Chiefs, 11-1. Horseshoe up their culos. I don't know how the hell they continue to find ways to win, taking on a Chargers team that, they're losing a lot of, high-end pieces on this offense. We saw it last week. Not too much to speak of. But these Chiefs in this respect, they got Isaiah Pacheco back. A lot of people wanted to start him last week. I told you I'll pump the brakes. This week I'm feeling a little bit better about it, but I still want to see one more game. But it's how much longer can we wait? You drafted Isaiah Pacheco. I understand firing him up. If you have him, I'm just saying cautiously optimistic this week. Even though I had him on a bust game, it could be on the very close up and down play volume dependent mid-level risk for Pacheco. I don't hate the play, but I'm not expecting the world this week once again. Mid-level risk for a Patrick Mahomes boy. He's got 8 boom games, but it's all on that low-end booms, man. So you could do so much better at this point. We'll see how the Chargers defense does play. I do like them this week. I think they should be able to continue the feared pace they're going at as they picked off Kirk Cousins how many times, but I want to see these Chiefs lose. I really do, man. It's enough is enough. They got like 7 games where they've won by like either refereeing, bad calls, bad tip plays, whatever. I just want to see him lose. I really do. Kareem Hunt, volume loss. Definitely it's Pacheco over Hunt at this point. Where DeAndre Hopkins, good upside in the green. 4 boom games, had 11 points ish last week, so I don't hate the play. Like me some D-Hop this week, or Xavier Worthy, definitely on the mid-level. High risk, high reward, gets you around the 8 to 12. If he does score a TD, it's probably 15. Don't dislike the play. They will test the Chargers deep this week as well, where Travis Kelce, low-level risk, always plays the divisional games, usually very well. I'm still banking on it. Week 14, we draft these guys in crunch time. You play your studs as we get closer to the playoffs, and Noah Gray is now on my board 3 boom games in a row, man. You can't stop this man right now. 76 points. He is a fixture in this offense. And if you are struggling at tight end, Noah Gray is definitely on the radar for me. Those Los Angeles Chargers taking on those Chiefs, like I'm saying. Herbie only had 10 points last week. Did not look good, and like I said, they're losing a lot of horses here, man. No more JK. We got Lad McConkey. He's a good lad on the potential miss of this contest. Right now with a knee and a shoulder, he is, taking a lot of punishment in the field. He's got to learn not to take so many big hits. He could miss this contest. Definitely, I'll keep you updated in the comments with that one as well. But Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal, Hassan Haskins, it's not great, man. I mean, they're just not getting enough push to get these guys. I mean, Gus was never a field burner anyway. He's more of the red zone guy, short yardage guy, maybe some pounding, bruising. I just don't see it, man. I would definitely stay away from Edwards and Vidal this week, where the Chiefs still play very good defense overall. Herbert on the mid-level risk. It's such a big game for these Chargers. That's why I'm kind of humming and hawing, saying, yeah, we can. Hopefully you got better options, kind of where I'm going with that. Again, it's going to be anywhere from that, 12 to maybe 18 points. Very tough to get that high end over 20 points this week, especially if a lad does sit. Josh Palmer, we can't play it all year long, basically. And QJ, if a lad does sit, should see more targets. Can we trust it? I can't trust it at this point. The man just has got bricks for hands. He drops everything to come his way. Low floor on the mid-level risk, where Will Disley did not have a good game last week. Should see a bounce back where if Lad does sit, should take a lot of Lad's targets this week. Los Angeles Rams taking on the Buffalo Bills. Matthew Stafford, mid-level risk for me. I think he's going to be able to at least move the football versus the Buffalo Bills. This is a huge contest for the Rams. Buffalo just wants to continue to play good football all around. Matthew Stafford should be able to at least find Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Cooper Kupp coming off a week showing where Puka's continuing. Last, 4 or 5 weeks, Puka's been an absolute revelation. He's been so good. But I do like it a lot. The last time the Rams did play the Buffalo Bills, Kupp and Puka did have big roles, if I'm not mistaken. So you got to watch out for those two. Where Kyron Williams coming off another boom this past week. Fire him up everywhere you got him. The Bills definitely still bend but don't break. Defense will give up some rushing yards, and Kyron is a big one. Fire up Cooper Kupp and a Puka Nacua for me as well. PPR upside, low-level risk, respectively. Where DeMarcus Robinson, TD floor continues on the mid-level risk. If you are in bye-week troubles, I don't dislike the play of D-Rob. He should be able to at least get you something, as the Bills will focus primarily on Nacua and Kupp. Colby Parkinson, once again, not playing it outside of extremely deeper leagues. He's just been an afterthought since Nacua came back from his injury. The Las Vegas Raiders taking on those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 2-10 Raiders, not looking great. They're playing for next year, but at least they got some good upside with a Brock Bowers, one of the best, again, we can call it, man, generational tight ends. This guy's an absolute beast and a baller. Love me some Brock Bowers. 9 boom games, 155 points for a tight end. You got to be kidding me, baby. So good, low-level risk. Fire him up. I don't even care who they're playing. You fire up a Brock Bowers everywhere you got him. Aiden O'Connell, okay, I was a little rough on you last week. I was like, yeah, I'm not touching it, not playing it. He just gets 20 points versus Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, man, I get it. I see you. Mid-level risk. I'm not going low-level this week either. Mid-level risk for an Aiden O'Connell, almost 50 points. He's not great. I mean, he's okay. He's serviceable. If you want to attempt it on week 14 with your playoff hopes on the line, I just can't endorse that whatsoever. Amir Abdullah, Alexander Madison, and then McCormick. We'll see what it is. I mean, we'll see if Madison does suit up. He's still dealing with an ankle. Zamir Zeus White already ruled out with the quad injury, and he's been an afterthought all season anyway. But Amir Abdullah, McCormick, Madison, I'll probably rank it Abdullah, Madison, McCormick. That's what I'll do. If Madison does sit, I'm still going Abdullah over McCormick, even though the coach says he's earned some more touches. That's fine. I got to see it to believe it at this point. Trey Tucker, mid-level risk. He's been actually really good the past 2 weeks. If you are looking for the low wide receiver 3 flex appeal, he definitely does have it with some PPR upside, 11 to 13 points. Last 2 games, very good overall. Jacoby Meyers, very good PPR upside, even versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers front 7 that will come after Aiden O'Connell. Meyers will still get you what you require in the PPR upside. I like the play of Bowers and Meyers this week from these Las Vegas Raiders, man. Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. No Sauce Gardner, and I mean, it's not like they're really going to miss them, really. They haven't been playing very good anyway. last-ditch effort for these Miami Dolphins. They got to basically run the screen, run the table. Last 5 weeks, they need this contest in a big way. Jets looking to play spoiler. Tua coming off a big show last week. I still like it. Sticking with Tua, low-level risk. Like the play versus the Jets defense that has not played very well overall. Likewise with a Devin off the A-chain. Low-level risk, 7 boom games, 183 points. He has been so good. And the way they utilize this man in the pass game, that Texas route, he just gets into the end zone so easily. Fire up H-N everywhere you got him. Raheem Mostert dealing with an injury. I got him on high level. His season's been absolutely regrettable. Where Tyreek Hill, thank you, Tyreek, off that lucky bounce on Thanksgiving to score that touchdown. Definitely, got a lot of us victories, including myself. Still low-level risk, man. They're going to continue down this path. We might have to say, feed Tyreek. Where's Tyreek? And then they'll get him in the end zone again. I'm telling y'all, this is how it's going to go. They got to win football games, and they got to use their studs at this point where Tyreek's still on the wrist injury and a rest day. He should be fine to suit up this week as well. Jalen Waddle time. He's picked up steam these last several weeks. Don't hate it. Almost 100 points. Definitely a failure of a season when it comes to Waddle and these Fins. 2 boom games only. He's an enigma this year. Will he go off? Will he not go off? Big time problems for a Waddle. Trusting him this season without question. Mid-level risk. Don't dislike it. Low-end wide receiver 2 play for me this week. You definitely got to hamper those, bottom low games. But against the Jets defense, I think Waddle has a decent day where Jonnu Smith has been the one taking all of Waddle's targets. Good upside in the green. Last 3 weeks has been booming. I like Jonnu Smith this week once again. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Atlanta Falcons, 10-2 Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold, baby, 10 boom games. He just does more than enough to get us by, and he is that great, supportive quarterback, especially in super flex leagues. He's been so stellar as your quarterback, too. We're talking redraft single quarterback leagues. I do like it this week versus the Falcons. Low-level risk, even though we saw Kirk O'Chains, struggle last week. I think this could be a very good game, very good show overall. Both quarterbacks will throw the football quite a bit. I like it a lot. Low-level risk for Sam Darnold. Aaron Jones on the bounce back, had a fumbleitis issue. They did go back to him, scored a touchdown. At least he saved his day, missed the boom game by a few points, but I do like the bounce back for Aaron Jones this week. They will continue to force feed him. He should be a very good piece to get us into the fantasy playoffs. Cam Akers still volume dependent in the red. We're JJ, 10 boom games. I was hoping for more last week. It almost happened in that second half. Still low-level risk. We got to play JJ, obviously. We're dying for those 15-plus point games. Just not coming from you, man. Let's go, Darnold. Find your guy. But it seems like every quarterback in the league is going to who's open at this point rather than force-feeding even the star studs on your team. Jalen Naylor, too difficult to trust. We're Jordan Addison. Addy, my guy. Mid-level risk. Fire up Addy everywhere we got him. He's got TD potential up the wazoo every week. He just got to get the targets, and he will make good things happen. TD upside on TJ Hawkinson on the mid-level risk. I like the play of him as well this week. New Orleans Saints taking on the New York Giants. Derek Carr, he just continues to lose weapons. Taysom Hill is no more. Prayers up to Taysom. I mean, what is he, 35, 36 years old? He may have played his last down in the NFL. It could really be that way. We'll see how it does shake down. Knowing him, he's such a competitor. He'll probably come back, but I would not be shocked. So Taysom's gone. Kendre Miller on the IR return. That's really not going to do much help here. So Derek Carr, mid-level risk, continues to lose weapons. He's only got his trusted boy, Alvin Kamara, low-level risk. Fire up Alvin everywhere. He got him 205 points, man. What'd I say? Even on a crappy offense, Alvin's been carrying us through this season. 10 boom games, baby. You absolutely love it. Jamal Williams not touching it. We're MVS. TD upside every single week. Mid-level risk. I like the play on the flex on the wide receiver 2-3. If you don't have better options and struggling with bye weeks, MVS definitely given. I wish he's going to have to take some of the target share that Taysom Hill no longer has. They're going to pivot. MVS should have a bigger role. Cedric Wilson, no. Kevin Austin, no. Or Juwan Johnson should get some upside here in the green. Target upside for me without a Taysom Hill. Someone definitely has to take over the role lost by Taysom, and Juwan Johnson could see his role expanded quite a bit this week. New York Giants taking on those Saints. Like I'm saying, Drew Lock. Okay, I mean it's Drew Lock, and I was a little bit more promotive because it was Tommy DeVito. I'm not a DeVito fan. I like Lock more. Okay, he got you 15 points last week. Good enough for a fill-in quarterback at this point. Mid-level risk versus Saints, who are struggling. This is basically a no contest at this point. Both teams not playing for anything, so mid-level risk for Drew Lock, not playing it this week. I just wanted to support the rest of these pieces. Tyrone Tracy, low-level risk. I've been kind of off him the last several weeks. I like this matchup for him. I think they got to lean on the ground game quite a bit, and Tracy should have a very sound day. Where Motor Singletary, high-level risk, haven't been playing it all season long, but Malik Neighbors, no, say it ain't so. He's got himself a hip injury popped up on Friday, and it's not good news. He is now a legitimate questionable that could miss this contest. If he does suit up, I'm going to put him in the green. That means he's good enough to play. But that is some scary stuff, man. If he takes a shot off that hip, he could be out, and we're going to have a goose egg on that point totals, just like a Jaden Reed gave us on Thursday Night Football. So definitely we got to see the health, man, see if they are clearing him to play. If it was just a tweak, a stinger, whatever, we'll see what happens. Injury risk in the green for me. If Malik does sit, it is going to be Wandale over Slayton for me. I'm going to have them both on the mid-level risk, but I would rank it Wandale over Slayton. Slayton with the deep ball appeal. But can Drew Lock support it? That is the biggest problem. And Theo Johnson did go down to the injured reserve with that foot injury, so Chris Manhertz and company should do a rotating door of tight ends, so we are not touching the tight ends in New York. New York Jets taking on those Miami Dolphins. Aaron Rodgers, nothing left for this season outside of pride, and I don't think there's much of it here, man. Mid-level risk, even though Rodgers booming 7 times, I mean, it's on the low end as well. Doing enough to keep him relevant, not doing enough for making us happy and winning games by himself. Mid-level risk versus the Dolphins, I mean, really, what is there left for these guys to play for? The biggest news, Breece Hall is out or doubtful. It should be. He will be ruled out with that knee injury, where Allen Lazard is coming back off the chest, off the injured reserve return. So Aaron Rodgers should get his boys back. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. So maybe they will move the football a little bit, play spoiler. That's the only thing they're really playing for. But Braylon Allen, what do we do with Braylon? Absolutely. If you're a Breece Hall owner, fire him up everywhere you got him. He's going to get volume upside if they do get into that red zone. He is a behemoth of a human, and he will get into that end zone, no question, inside the 5-yard line. I am absolutely playing a Braylon Allen. If you are having a Breece Hall owner problem, I think Braylon Allen's definitely one of these guys. If you don't have a Breece Hall and you got not better options, I do like Braylon Allen a lot this week. Isaiah Davis did see a boom game last week, found his way into the end zone volume floor. They will do a split backfield to some degree, but I do like Braylon Allen this week over a Davis. Adams on the mid-level risk, and Garrett Wilson, TD upside. Aaron just overshot the man last week. He had a touchdown, and I mean, okay, whatever. It's been bad. 3 bust games in a row for Garrett Wilson. What else can I say? I can't sugarcoat it anymore. It's a risk. If you got a better option, you definitely take it over Garrett Wilson. Never thought I would say that in my life. But again, versus the Miami Dolphins, it is a must-win game for the Dolphins. We should see Garrett play ball, man. So I'm going to leave that one to you. Right now, I got it mid-level TD upside. Aaron Rodgers seemingly going more towards an Adams, pulling the Wilson back a bit. So that's kind of where you got to think about the schematics of it at this point. Allen Lazard, not expecting a whole heaping coming back from injured reserve, even if he does suit up. And a Ty Conklin high-level risk, we are not playing that. Philadelphia Eagles, fly Eagles fly, taking on those Carolina Panthers. Man, this is going to be another tune-up for these 10-2 Philly Eagles. They are legit a Saquon Barkley drop TD pass in the flats from being 11-1. Unbelievable. Hurts and Barkley. Hurts low-level risk. Barkley stud start of the week. 271 bloody points, baby. I love what Saquon's doing. 11 booms for Hurts, 10 for Saquon. You fire these guys up on the weekly like you guys know. A.J. Brown, grown-ass man, low-level risk. Fire him up. Devontae Smith, he is back from his hammy injury. Smitty, He should be good to go, man. At least give us decent PPR upside. I got him on a mid-level. We'll see how he does shake down. I think there's going to be a lot of Saquon controlling the clock again, where they don't have a Dallas Goedert. That's why I do like the play of Smitty this week. He should get majority of those targets back that A.J. Brown does not see. So if you got Smitty, I'm okay playing him this week as well. We're a Jahan Dotson we're not touching, and then a Grant Calcaterra, low floor, mid-level risk. He should see maybe 6 points at most this week. Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Cleveland Brownies. Russell Wilson, let's weld. Steel City, baby, if you guys didn't get that one. Good upside for a Russell Wilson. Best I've seen him play in a long time last week. And you knew he was up for the task, and that's what's so impressive about what we saw last week versus the Bengals. They knew that Joey B and company were going to put up at least 30 on them. And they said, the hell with this. We got to throw the football. We got to control tempo, and we got to make plays. Russell Wilson had himself a day. 3 boom games, 106 points, and they looked good, man. If they continue to play this, at least they know they can do it. Let's just put it that way. If they continue to play this way, they will be a force down the stretch as well. Fighting also for that first-round bye. They're still involved in that as well. We're not Harris, I guess Najee didn't like my comment last week about having 2 trailers attached to his ass because he scores 20 points and makes me look like a fool. Thanks, Najee. Appreciate it, man. But it's an anomaly. You cannot trust 20 points coming from Najee every week. And the Browns defense with a Myles Garrett, they will come and they will try to stop it. Najee at least looked that much better. That's the Najee we want to see. Tough running, finding ways, evading tacklers. Mid-level risk still for Najee. Mid-level risk for Jaylen Warren. If I'm ranking him, it's Najee over a Warren at this point. PPR upside to a Jaylen Warren. His season has been quite bad overall, dealt with injuries, so he's not the one to trust where I would trust a Najee with his 6 boom games. George Pickens, low-level risk. He should be good. He was down the hamstring injury on the injury report. No signs of him missing this contest as of right now. Low-level risk. Fire him up. Versus the Brownies. We cannot trust anybody else. Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, Mike Williams. No thank you, all in the red. High-level risk, target dependent, high-level risk. It is what it is. Even last week with 44 points or 41 points, whatever they put up, they still didn't get these guys really involved. Calvin, I think, caught himself a TD, but outside of that, it's not a lot of volume going to these other wide receivers to trust. Where Pat Freiermuth, the Muth, told y'all last week he was a boom play. He boomed and he got into the end zone. Mid-level risk once again. Hopefully they continue. I've been preaching this. He should be the wide receiver 2 in targets, tight end 2 in targets for this team right now, and he definitely is not. If you continue to utilize him, he will be a big problem for a lot of defenses in this offense. I'm okay with the play of Pat Freiermuth this week. San Francisco 49ers taking on the Chicago Bears. They forgot their snow tires back in Cali, man. The Bills, they just, no footing, more injuries. We got some problems. They got some problems. CMC, he's on the injured reserve. We knew that was coming after he did not finish. And then all of a sudden, San Fran's like, pow, man, here's another one. Jordan Mason on the injured reserve. You got to get the handcuff of the handcuff to make yourself playable this week with these 49ers. Isaac Guerrero, at least he's a quality runner. I do like him this week. Volume upside in the green versus the Bears. We know in the Kyle Shanahan offense, they will utilize running backs, whoever they are. If I was the running back there, Kyle Shanahan would make me run 30 times. We just know how it is. Brock Purdy bounced back on the mid-level risk. The Bears defense still does play relatively well, but they got a heaping of injuries as well. So I do like Brock to have a bounce-back game this week at home. Where Guerrero, if you picked him up off the waiver wire, absolutely you fire him up on the volume upside. Where Patrick Taylor, and then they picked up an Israel Abanikanda off NFL waivers to get him as a third running back for these 49ers. They are in dire need of backs on this team. Debo! A lot of people saying, I'm not calling you Debo no more, man. You're not doing the business. Can't blame you, man. 5 boom games. He's been basically irrelevant the last 4 weeks. This is the week, man. This is the week. It's got to save the season to get back to 6-7. Go back to Debo. Go back to George Kittle. Make things happen. And I do foresee a lot of rushing upside for Debo as well, where it's going to be a Guerrero. It's going to be Debo. Lots of volume to these gentlemen. Control the clock. Make up what CMC drops for you with him being on injured reserve. I like the play of Debo this week. I'm going to go on a limb. I like it. I want to see it. I think they're going to utilize it. I got him on a mid-level just to hedge bet a little bit, but I do like the play of a Debo this week. Ricky Pearsall not touching it. We're third in Juwan Jennings. Like him a lot. Good upside in the mid-level. He'll get you at least 8 points with an upside of about 16 if he does find his way into that end zone. And George Kittle, the People's tight end, he was so frustrated in the snow last week. I totally foresee a big pop-off this week. Pop-off for a George Kittle. Seattle Seahawks taking on those Arizona Cardinals. Geno and this offense did not look great last week. They haven't looked great overall in the past several, but, I mean, they're winning games 7-5. Surprisingly enough, all their stats, see, this is why, man, take stats with a grain of salt. You got to see how it is. Team dynamics, schematically, what are they doing well, what are they doing poor, and then use the stats to back up your arguments. That's how we do here, man. That's why you come here. Geno Smith, mid-level risk. I'm telling y'all, he's a good play this week as a fill-in. Not a great play because Budda Baker and company, they've been playing very good football on defense, and it's going to taper off the top-end levels for a Geno. You might get yourself, the 17-18 if he starts throwing TDs, and I do think it's coming this week. They got to do something a little different because the run game's not working because they're not respecting the pass. DK's been an afterthought. It's only been my dude, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and, I mean, that should continue this week with JSN. But I do like Kenny, a big bounce back this week. He's got 80% on the boom rate so far this season. Good upside in the green, but I do think that a Charbonnet, Zach Charbonnet, should be able to get some volume as well. Had 11 points last week. Kenny's dealing with an ankle and a calf. Should still suit up in this contest, but I do like Charbonnet this week as well. Again, if you are desperate in 14-team leagues and further down, he should at least get some change of pace volume. DK. What do we do with DK Metcalf? This is a problem, man. He's not doing what we require since that knee injury. It's been very much up and down. TD upside in the green for me. This is a huge contest for them. They want to put a stranglehold on this division. You win this game. You go to the desert and you win this game. I think DK scores a TD this week. I really do. Been far too long for him to be having a massive impact on this game, but I think DK does it again. Tyler Lockett, still we're going to fade, and we're going to play a JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, on the low-level risk because he is the true unbelievable wide receiver that he is shaping out to be. Knew it was coming. Love me some JSN, and he is definitely showcasing that. We're a Noah Fant, high risk for me. I don't like it whatsoever. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Again, another division that is definitely, in a battle, I want to say. Tampa Bay 6-6, huge game for them. They win. They start to move up ahead in this, versus the Falcons, who are neck and neck right now. Low-level risk for Baker Mayfield. I mean, right now, the biggest problem is I'm playing Baker this week. We'll just say that. There's not much evaluation I need to even say about that. Low-level risk, 9 boom games, 250 points. He's got Mike Evans back. He's going to throw the football. It's a good play, okay? We'll just leave it there. Why am I moving on so quick? Because I want to talk about Bucky Irving. He's been so good, man, and I told y'all last week he was going to do it again. He pops off for over 25. The problem is they hurt the man. They've been running this dude into the ground. He could barely walk off the field. He's got a hip injury. And he is definitely a questionable. Even if he does suit up in this contest, I think versus the Raiders and who they're playing, they give him a game off. I really do see it, man. Mid-level risk for a Bucky Irving, where I think Rachaad White's game is going to be the one. Good upside in the green. If we're counting tabs right now, and if Bucky does sit, now we can say Sean Tucker comes fantasy relevant this week as well. So it is Rachaad White, Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker. Then if Irving sits, obviously White, Tucker, and then you move forward that way. So good upside for a White. Mid-level risk for a Bucky, only due to that hip injury. He's been taking so much volume. If he's good to go, if Bucky's good, you absolutely play him this week, and you hope for the best that he's not going to hurt that hip any worse and leave the contest. So we will see big contests for the Bucs. I think they're going to lean on this ground game continuously as they move forward. Big Mike Evans, like I said last week, fire him up. You do that once again this week. Shepard, McMillan, not touching it. We're a Cade Otton, man. Last 3 weeks, he's disappointing us. TD upside, man. He finds his way back into the end zone, especially if a Bucky Irving does not play or if a Bucky is taking volume back, due in part to that hip injury. Cade Otton should see some decent volume to help recreate the run as they try to improve and move forward. Last one on the board, the Tennessee Titans taking on those Jacksonville Jaguars. And Will Levis, okay, mid-level risk. I don't hate it, man. I really don't. There is upside here now, especially versus a Jags team. They're playing decent defense overall, making people earn it. But, I mean, Will Levis played decently these past several weeks, man, and that has a lot to do with him spreading the football around to guys like Nick Westbrook-Akine. Will I play Will Levis? Okay. I mean, deeper leagues, sure. Outside of that 12-team leagues, unless I really have no other option, then I do it. Outside of that, I don't want to trust it on a week 14 playoff hopeful run. There's got to be better options for y'all. But Will Levis, mid-level risk, doing enough, 15 to 20 points. Can't hate and fault it whatsoever. Tony Pollard last week did fail us. The fumble killed it. And, I mean, that score got out of hand so fast, they had to throw the football a lot more than run this week. I mean, good upside in the green. Pollard's been so good all season long. I am riding with my dudes that I drafted, okay? And in a lot of leagues I did draft Tony Pollard. Wasn't necessarily over the moon about it, but he's been such a pleasant play every single week, majority of this season. 7 booms, man. He's been doing it. I like it this week. So here's the question. If you drafted them, they've been playing well. You play your studs this week to get you in the playoffs. Trust it. I'm telling y'all. Tony Pollard, good upside, should have a big day. Tajay, not playing it. Where Calvin Ridley, I'm giving him the low-level risk on the green. His day is coming. Revenge game, even though I don't have it here as a revenge game, but because he only played 1 year in Jacksonville, still a revenge game. He's going to say, I am the dude you should have paid. I like Calvin Ridley a lot this week. That's why I got the Will Levis upside potential here as well. Calvin Ridley, absolutely fire him up. Tyler Boyd not touching it. We're Nick Westbrook Akine. You can play him, man. Flex low-end wide receiver 2 with the TD upside is here all day. They keep going deep at least 3 times to this man, and he just finds his way into that end zone. Almost 100 points and 5 booms for Nick Westbrook Akine. You cannot hate this whatsoever. And a Chig Okonkwo, we are not touching that again this week. He's just a lucky man when he does score fantasy points. But there you have it. That is week number 14. Start, sit, lineup advice. Let's get into those playoffs, baby. I ride with y'all, man. I'm telling y'all, it's been a pleasure giving you guys advice all season long. Stick around for the offseason. I got you covered for the next crop, for the NFL draft, NFL offseason. Everything is going. So if you are out of the fantasy playoffs, do not jump ship. Stick around, man. I got plenty of content for y'all to dominate next year in fantasy and know what's going down for your favorite NFL team, no question. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, drop your questions in there. I will definitely get back to everybody. But we'll see you next time, and good luck. Let's get those dubs. I am out.